Okay, guys, I welcome to Top Step Rules Order Flow. I'm actually in the middle of doing some indicators with Claude. I wish I had started at the beginning. Excuse me. I wish I had started at the beginning. I know I haven't put a video out in a while, but I've been dealing with life. Anyway, let's get straight to the meat and potatoes here because I'm experiencing some stuff with Claude AI. This is a game changer. Um, People don't realize you don't have to pay for indicators no more if you know what you want. But you have to know what you want, and that comes from running different type of indicators like TDU footprint, Mike Valto's in the footprint. You know, it's so many indicators out here that's for sale. Well, guess what? Claude, if you and it took me a day or two just to get used to Claude. You have to be very particular in what Claude or the way you ask Claude. Um, Once you get used to asking Claude to program your indicators, you will never buy an indicator again. Now, let me say something. Anybody that's running Ninjatrader, there are no DLL files with Claude, not unless you ask them to put one. The only reason you would have a DLL, from what I understand, is if you're trying to put some type of lock or something on it. That doesn't, you know what? From what I've seen by going down certain black holes, and I've been down many of them, there's no lock. If somebody wants to unlock your stuff, it can be unlocked or quote unquote educated. That's what they call it, an educated file. Now let's get to the juice of this. Because what I did was I'm having a conversation with Claude, and I'm bringing you guys in on the middle right now. And I'm having a conversation with Claude. Let me see if I can bring this into, because I'm doing a whole lot of stuff here. I am doing a whole lot. Once I started getting the hang of this, I said, you know what? I don't have to. I don't have to buy no more indicators no more, because there are certain things that I want to see when I'm trading. I'm gonna break out some charts in a minute. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, and like I said, I haven't done one in years. It's been at least, this is 26. I think the last time I did a video for Top Step Rules I think was 2023, right around 2023, 2024. And what made me do this video, I just saw somebody had just emailed me. Today is, not emailed me, but left a message on my page. And today is July 18th, 2026. And he said, the email says something about, can I get your template? I'm going to take you to a level better than that. I started a conversation with Claude, and how you start out with Claude. And I did not get this. You know, Mike Valtos gave a little seminar about a month or so ago, and this would jump me and got me going into, really looking at. First, I was looking at Replit, which is another AI, and then I looked at ChatGPT, but Claude is Ninjatrader 8's friend. Now, you got some other AIs out there that you guys might have experience with, but I've only used Claude, and I don't see, for right now, for what I'm doing, I'm putting every indicator that I could possibly think of in Claude. If I read the book or saw the book, and right now I question, you can see, yes, I asked, are you familiar with the book Street Smarts by Linda Ransky? And it goes on to answer me and says, yes, blah, 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 and it tells you what what strategies it has. And I say, well, you know what? Don't do the strategies. Turn them into indicators and put it in one big indicator. And you can see right here where Claude just tells me everything or every strategy that she uses in the book. And I said, let's program each one in NinjaTrader 8 version 8.1.7.2 64-bit. You have to stress that because certain things were updated in this version, and the API. I think Claude goes back and references the API every once in a while, and the API, with it being updated, he could program whatever indicator you want. And surprise, I'm gonna give you a surprise. I'm gonna show you guys a surprise in a minute. But once I saw this was happening, I couldn't sleep. I was sitting in front of the computer 24/7. Do you hear me? 24/7, because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And nobody on this YouTube channel has, I mean, it's a whole lot of Claude videos out there. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of Claude videos out there. Claude can do this, Claude can do that. But nobody not even, Mike Valtos got into it, but it didn't hammer home like I thought it should. It was enough to get me jump started. And everybody can't just catch on like that. Some things you got to pause and try to hammer in so people can really understand the capability of what this AI is capable of doing. So, after he said what was in the book, and I said, let's program each one in NinjaTrader 8 version 8.1.7.2 64-bit. And then it says, okay, boom, 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 boom. It goes on. It built it. And then right here, it says, which I just highlighted, morning big picture news, reversals need a live economic calendar feed, which NinjaTrader doesn't have built in. And he was wrong, because sometimes you have to go back and correct Claude and say, yes, they do have a calendar built in. This is the calendar that's live, and it updates, right? Day by day. Notice it says day by day. You can go to yesterday. You can go to today, which is Saturday, nothing going on. You can go to tomorrow. These are the calendar. This is the news coming in tomorrow. You're coming in this week. So all of this stuff, this is the stuff that was all this week, right? Then you can go to next week, and these are all the reports or news flashes coming in, and it tells you the impact: red, yellow, or just all gray. I have all three of them: high, medium, and low, because I want to, sometimes you get a news impact and it says low, and next thing you know, the market is jerking on you like the Fed messed with interest rates or something. So I just got all three of them checked. This is very important. Listen to me, guys. When you start playing with Claude, if you have, quote unquote, and I had a lot of educated indicators on my system, right? And I would look at them, and believe it or not, if I really liked it, I would go to the publisher and buy that indicator, because I thought it was important enough for me to keep running, a legit copy and seeing what I'm seeing and trade, and it became part of my trading program. So I'm gonna tell you guys right now, and I had a discussion with this in one of my dark holes. I'm gonna call it the dark rabbit holes. The guy says, this particular program isn't running, blah, 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 blah. I said, you need a fresh, clean install. Only thing you want running on your NinjaTrader is programs that you have paid for legally, because those educated programs, if you're seeing in your log file, programs in your log file, and you're seeing errors in your log file, that stuff is going to interfere with your Claude indicators. I'm telling you now. And when I first started playing with Claude, I was getting errors and it said, look at this file or look up this file. Something is interfering with this file or that file. Hey, I'm telling you right now, use a clean NinjaTrader 8 install, not an educated NinjaTrader 8, which I first started messing with years ago. Too many errors. Too many errors, guys. Too many errors. Either you go get NinjaTrader 8 because this is part of the business. You get what you pay for. This is part of the business. That's a cost of doing business. And then and I got a friend of mine, man, he bought NinjaTrader 8 like 10 years ago when it was like 700, 800 bucks. I broke down and bought it about 5 years ago. It might have been like $1,200 or something like that. And now it's maybe a little bit more, but it's inching up. The price of NinjaTrader 8 is inching up year by year. And I would suggest, and I'm not going to mention this no more, just go buy it or lease it. Because when you start creating your own indicators, you want everything to be running perfectly. Can I use the word perfectly or fine? I'm gonna use the word fine. And even if I'm gonna tell you something about that educated NinjaTrader 8 also. You will always, even if you're running an educated NinjaTrader 8, you're always going to be paying maximum commission because they don't have you down as an owner, even though you might be, it says the educated version might say, hey, I own this. I'm running it. They don't care because they're going to get maximum commissions out of you anyway. If you're a lifetime owner, you're going to pay whatever their minimum commission is, especially when you're scalping, when you're day trading. Man, those pennies add up. I'm telling y'all right now. The pennies add up in commissions. So let's get back to Claude. So it goes on and it tells me, what it's going to do. It's going to put Claude inside of a CSV file or CVS file or something like that. And then I said, hey, it does have news. So see if you can implement that morning big picture news reversal. Check before you assume, because Claude always said, oh, I assume this, but now that I see, you're right. And notice it said right here, good catch. Let me verify precisely what the calendar window is before touching code. And then it'll go back, and this is with any, you're going to get errors when you create an indicator in Claude, but I'm going to show you guys how to get around that in a second. So, and let it create, and then it's going to throw that file down to you. Okay. And I'm not going to, and I'm going to come back to this later, but I just want you guys to see it will go look up any pattern book, especially Toby Crable. You can see I'm running stuff from Toby Crable. I'm running stuff from, I looked up Taz boxes. I'm running stuff from, I got a Baccarat program in here. I'm doing a research on. I like playing Baccarat. That's another conversation. The Cume Delta, the Thomas Wade two-legged pullback. This AI Claude will program anything. And if you run into an error, but here's the thing when you run into those errors, you load on your chart, you correct the errors. And let's start going through some experiences so I can tell you guys what I ran into, while I was running or trying to get Claude to program a particular indicator. So let's go back here and let's go into a friend of mine had me looking up holistic herbs for cancer research. I'm gonna get rid of this one. Let's look up, we're going to do this one right here. I call this particular indicator order flow summary. And the order flow summary, if you guys are running footprint, let me see if I still got that picture in my, see if I still got that picture in my snapshot. Here are the tools you're going to need. Here are the tools you're going to, no, I don't have the picture in my snapshot no more. Here, first of all, let's get the tools out the way, because there's certain tools you're going to need when you are running Claude AI and you're building an indicator. First tool you're going to need, and I use you're going to need something that takes a picture of your monitor. I use a program called GreenShot. GreenShot will take a picture of your monitor, of your screen, and then that way, when there is an error, and I'll show you how that works in a minute, when there's an error, you can upload the picture to Claude. I will show you how to do that. And and I always say, call Claude, correct this error. But there's a program called GreenShot, and that's a free program. So go download GreenShot. That way, or you might already have a program on your desktop where you can snapshot those screens that you want to take a picture of. Now, let me also say this. I use GreenShot, and it's a free program. So you might, if I think I already said this, if you already have a program on your desktop, make sure you know where the pictures are going. A lot of people, they're running computers. They don't know what directory the picture is going in and everything. You got to verify all this so everything can flow smoothly. Okay, I got that out the way. And here is a picture of, let me see if I can make this big. Here's a picture of GreenShot that I took, right? And right now I'm gonna snap a picture of this screen, and I just use GreenShot, and now I'm gonna bring it into, and I'm gonna make it big so you guys can have a good idea of what I was working with here. If you have a footprint program, and I can't clear this up because it's a picture of a picture, but if you have a footprint program, you will have what you call a summary board down at the bottom. And what I said was, I just want to see the summary board. I don't want to see, for right now, I don't want to see the footprint. Just recreate the summary board. And what I did was I took a picture of the summary board, I snapshot it, and I put it up on Claude. Okay? So when I put it up on Claude, I gave Claude explicit instructions. I said, here's the indicator that I want to create. Name it order flow summary. Make it so I can adjust the fonts, colors, and notice that the labels are static. They don't move as I scroll across the screen and look at the history. I want all 5 rows. Then we will discuss where to go from there after this gets done. This is made for Ninjatrader 8 version 8.1.7.2 64-bit. I always stress that to him every once in a while because he forgets, and he'll create an indicator, and then he'll come back just like I showed you a few minutes ago and say, that can't do this. I say, I am using Ninjatrader version 8, and give him the version. Okay? And that way he goes and corrects it. It's some of the conversations are funny. And notice he says, got it. Before I write this, a quick gut check on what your screenshot actually shows, since it drives the whole design. And then he'll tell you what he's going to put up there, yada, 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 yada. Then he tells you how to install it. Like I said, these files do not come with DLL, not unless you put locks on them. Now you can have him put a lock on your indicator, but I'm not going to put a lock on my indicator. By the way, if you guys are interested in some of these indicators, let me know, but you're going to have to make a donation. You're going to have to make a donation and maybe a donation of like $25 or more, something like that, whatever. But if you're interested in some of these indicators, let me know. But it's going to have to come with a donation because when you start running Claude, they got a free version and then they got a paid version and then they got a max. I see all these conversations I got on the left side. I had to get max because I got so many ideas and so many things running in my mind. The $17, I think they got $17, $100 a month. Then they got something that's above that. I had so many things in my mind, and every time I started out with the free, I maxed out the free. I started out with the 17, not started out, but I upgraded to the $17, and I knew this within days. I said, "Oh, I can't use 17 no more." So now I'm at the 100, and I seem to be doing very well, even though it's $100 a month. I got a lot of things, and I'm trying to get everything in before I say I don't need you no more, because it's not a lifetime guarantee. It's only until you use it until you don't need it no more. Okay? So let's continue on. Tells you how to add the stuff to your chart, blah, 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 blah. And then, when you put it in Ninja editor, you're going to start seeing errors like this. I snapshotted this whole picture. It corrected those errors. Each time the errors get less and less, or you might not see what you want to see, right? I'm going to show you the end result of this. Okay? So, on and on. And every time he corrects, let's get to the learning part. Every time he corrects something or corrects an error, you have to download that file all over again. Okay? Let's see what the last thing is, because I think there was something on here that I corrected yesterday, or that I said I was going to correct today. What I do is I keep a stack of 3x5 cards in front of me, and I take notes on those 3x5 cards. And yesterday was really my first day at seeing how some of these indicators run live, and then you start taking notes, what you want to see, what you want to add. Do not be afraid to tell Claude to add anything you think you want to add, right? Every time I tell him to add something, if it's something major, I said, make sure you add on and off switches. Make sure you add an alert. I even did a multi-time frame indicator, and I'll show that to you guys in a second. And if you forget to add something, you can always just go back and say, hey, Claude, add this, add that, and he will add it, or she will add it, or it will add it. It's funny because sometimes it starts pushing back and you got to push back at it and say, hey, I know what this can do. Figure it out. I've literally had to say, figure it out. And then he'll come back and say, oh, I got it. I got it. Right. So it's almost like you're conversating with a real person, but it's a program. What AI is this will program anything you dream of in Ninjatrader. You don't have to keep buying. What was the last? I think the last indicator I bought was a cumulative delta, because I was going deep down that rabbit hole of the cum delta. And what I was seeing on YouTube, it just was it. Some of those guys have excellent indicators, especially when it comes to the cum delta, but I just wasn't quite satisfied with it. And then there's one guy on there, Zierman, or I think that's how you pronounce his name, Zierman. He has some excellent cum delta indicators, but he only programs them and trading. And what's that? Is that TradeView program? I actually sent him an email. Can you program this in Ninjatrader? He said flat out, no problem. I got no problem with that, because guess what, guys? You can upload a snapshot of an indicator and Claude will damn near replicate it if he can. And I have done it. I have done it. Trust me. I have done it. Don't tell me it can't be done. It can be done. But I'm going to show you uh, how this cumulative delta program and let me tell you something. Share ideas with your friends because they might be thinking of another way that they like to see this program, right? If you have any trader friends, you know, and I'm talking about trader friends outside of the internet circle, because the internet circle, some of these guys, they don't want to do shit. They just want freebies. Excuse my language. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the homework. And basically, this video right here is telling them how to do it, and they still won't go and do their own research. They want you to do it, and then they're going to say, send me that indicator. And next thing you know, they're using that indicator and making a shitload of money. Trust me. I'm watching it happen. Not seen it, but I'm watching it happen. Nobody wants to do any work. You got people out there that want to do their own research. Then you got people out there who says, let me see that indicator. Okay, do this for me or do that for me. No, I'm not going to start doing your research for you. This is a learning experience. If you learn how to do it yourself, you won't have to buy no more indicators no more. My first experience, and I'm not going to tell you what website I was on, down one of those rabbit holes. And the guy said, he sent me a picture. And I said, Claude can't just look at a picture and determine what indicator is on them pictures. Huh, was I wrong? I said, something told me, well, upload this, snapshot to Claude and see what he comes up with. I uploaded that snapshot to Claude. Boom, boom, boom. Went through an analysis and created the whole picture. Indicators and all. I think he had like one or two wrong, but the one or two he had wrong, I would have had to keep communicating with that guy for him to tell me what change or what actually do these other indicators do. Claude created those indicators. He had the settings, everything. Claude can replicate anything you upload. And if you keep getting errors, and I'm going to keep banging this home, banging this in. If you keep getting errors, you keep uploading those snapshot errors until he fixes them all. That's all I got to say. If you ain't got enough motivation to do that, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see it anyway. But everybody has their own interests in certain indicators, and this is how you do it, with Claude. So anyway, after I finish playing with the summary here, we're going to load up a chart, and you can see I kept getting errors. There's another program you might want to download too. It's called Point Fix. And actually, Point Fix, you can draw on your screen. Any color. You can highlight boxes of certain colors and stuff like that. Anyway, this program is called Point Fix. This is free this is another download program you need to get, because sometimes when Claude is doing something, he keeps doing it wrong. I will highlight certain things and give him a correction and tell him what I want to see out of that correction. And once you hit done, it erases everything off the screen. So anyway, this is the whole thing I went through. And you can see Claude is constantly making changes as I'm telling him what I want to see. So let's go load up this chart now. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's load up a 15 range. Let's load up 7 days. Yeah, nobody is on the internet explaining exactly how this should be done. And I say, you know what? And people were like, well, but how do you do this? How do you do it? I'm gonna show you guys because there's no reason why uh we should know or you should know how this is exactly done. And once your ideas get put, once you get some good ideas, if you want to share your ideas with me personally through email, I will share my ideas with you. But as far as that's concerned, you probably just want to keep the stuff to yourself or whatever the case might be. But this particular indicator right here, after I show you guys, you'll say, oh my goodness. Because whatever idea you have, let me make sure it's tick by tick is checked. Whatever idea you have, just put it in Claude. If he can't do it, he can't do it. But there's nothing that I have seen, or not seen, but nothing I have put in where he could not do it. And now that it's feasible, you're going to see a lot more complicated indicators put up on the internet. And there's a guy on YouTube, it seems like he's doing an indicator every day now. And it's just free stuff for trading view. Man, this guy is rolling. He said, well, you want to see this indicator? Blah, 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 blah. And I know AI is doing it for him. I know, man, AI is a game changer, and it's going to put these programmers. I remember years ago, I asked the programmer to program, can this be programmed? Can that be programmed? He came back with a price of right around $2,000 to $3,000. Guess what, fellas? Those days are over. Let's load up this indicator. Give you an idea of what's going on with this. Those days are over. Now, I trade in the morning time. A lot of times I trade in the morning time from, the market open up to, and I'm on Central Time. So it might be from like 8:30 to 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock. For some reason, I'm always thinking about New York time, when I'm trading, because after a certain time, the markets are basically, they have slowed down. Okay. Let's scroll back to market open. And I might just try to get a small scalp here and there. But okay, 8:30, market open. And here's my summary board down here at the bottom. And what I did was I created an indicator where I can set thresholds on each the delta, the min delta, the max delta, the cum delta. I love looking at the cum delta because that basically tells me if my bias is going to be up or down for the day anyway, along with some other things that I look at. And I'm going to put that into Claude today, but not on film, because I know certain things I'm looking for. I look at volume. So anytime something hits a threshold that I set, let's go into the indicator parameter. Okay. Here are the parameters. Is this it? Here are the parameters. I got the delta. I call it the bull max delta, the bull min delta, the bear min delta, the bear max delta, the cum delta, and the volume. And I want to be able to cut each one of those off and on at my will. So I told Claude to do that. It could calculate bid ask, up, down tick, and tick count. Now, here's the thing. Here's one of the errors I ran into, or one of the tricks I ran into. I forgot it was doing only volumetric. It's something about the data that's coming in, and it said I can only do volumetric, blah, 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 blah. And I said, no. I said, here's what I want to see. I want to see three kinds of data calculation coming in. I want to be able to do the bid ask, the up down tick, or the tick count. And let's go back to Claude where I asked this, because this is very important. This is one of the important things that I told him to go figure it out. During this conversation, the tick count was not coming in correctly. And I told him to go figure it out, because that's not correct. It was something about the bid ask charts and the tick charts and so forth, where I knew that the charts didn't quite look right, because I was comparing it to other order flow. I was comparing the data to other order flow summary boards that I was looking at. Still looking, guys, still looking. Because a lot of you guys, once you guys start using Claude, you're going to run into these kind of problems. I think this is where it started right here. The data wasn't loading when I put it on a chart. So I said, for some reason, the indicator's not loading on the charts with the data. And boom, boom, it says that pattern volume populating correctly for every historical bar, but blah, 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 blah. Then it gives me some excuse. And I said, hey, that's what I've been looking for all night, blah, blah, or something like that, whatever I said. Let me see what his response is, because somehow we got to, oh, right here. It's working now, but find out, because I want to go back to my custom. He tried to, Claude will try to push certain things on you. And that's when I realized every once in a while, you have to remind him what version of Ninjatrader 8 you are running, right? So he tells me volumetric bars, blah, blah, blah. But I found a real improvement fallback path, blah, blah, blah. He goes on. And there was something about the tick count, the up and down count. Bear with me, guys. This is a video, learning video. So, and I just decided to do this video on a whim. So if you guys are new to this, you'll be patient enough to bear with me on this, because this is something you definitely are going to learn dealing with Claude. Trying to remember where I told him there was a conversation in here where I told him, hey, there are three kinds of tick data coming in. I want the ability, and that's how you have to watch the way you word things. You say, I want the ability to do this, this, or this. The option. I think I used the word option. You have to be very particular about how you ask him things. My friend, I have a friend of mine, he tries to be very cordial and nice to Claude. Sometimes I'll be like, man, fuck that shit. Put that shit in and tell him to correct it. We joke about that all the time. Anyway, put arrows on the bullish bear signals, blah, 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 blah. Then I might go back and here's the thing where I said, what is the reset rule for the cum delta? I was making sure he was resetting the cum delta at the beginning of every session. Here it is. I want the option to calculate the delta by selecting one of the three and drop down. Bid ask, up, down, tick, or tick count. And notice he said good addition because he didn't have that. Claude has to be told exactly what to do. And I'm stressing this because I noticed, and I did it. This was when I first started messing with AI about 6 months or a year ago. Every time it didn't do what I asked, I said, fuck it. Hell with it. I ain't got time for this. Trust me, you do have time for it. You do have time for it. Tackle the issue at hand. That way you have learned it. You got it out the way. It's all in how you ask him and talk to him, or word. I'm going to use word phrases to him that he understands. And if he don't understand it, figure out another way to phrase that. And then notice he says new drop down, delta calculation at the very top, properties, delta method. I can go bid ask, up, down, tick, or tick count now, right? And he corrected all of that. And then I said something about bid ask should be working also and up, down, tick working. Recheck that. Yeah, something was going on with it when I reloaded it and something wasn't working right. It says you're right. You're right to push back. Let me actually verify that rather than assert the same explanation. Because a lot of times Claude will, you would almost think it's fucking human, go in and assume something and it's not right. And if you don't just because he tells you it's right, don't assume that it's right. If you want to push, it's a goddamn computer. It's a computer, it's an AI. Don't be afraid to push back on him. Say, hey, no. It was one instance where he kept saying, take this out, take this indicator off, take that indicator off. I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not taking, and I was actually typing it. I said, I'm not taking no indicators out of my indicator directory. I said, figure it out when I get pissed off at him. I said, figure it out, and he will figure it out. Okay. And notice he said right here, you're right to push back. Let me actually verify this rather than assert the same explanation. There's a specific NinjaTrader restriction I noticed in passing earlier, but didn't chase down. And blah, 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 he says, found it. It's a real bug in my code, not a data limitation. NinjaTrader's own documented behavior for tick replay. He found the bug and he fixed it. So then he updates it again. And then there was some other changes I made to, I call it the bull confluence or the bear confluence. I said, add this to the bull confluence, add that to the bear confluence. And here we are back at the settings again. I can check or uncheck certain things. And also when you tell them when you want colors of certain things, say your phrase would be, I would like to be able to change colors on this moving average or whatever of my choice. That way, the color palette pops up. You have to tell it of my choice. And this is the cum delta threshold. I got to set it plus 4,500, minus 4,500. Any time between minus 4,500 and plus 4,500, it's a low volatile day. It's a low for me. This is my setting. Remember, I developed this indicator based on certain things that I wanted to see. So you can actually set thresholds to the positive side for cum delta and thresholds to the negative side. If it's on the negative side, if it hits a certain amount, it's red. Oh, that's what I want to see. My bias is short. I'm looking to go short on every trade that I see pop, particularly see on a chart. Or if it's blue, I know I'm going to be looking to go long if it's above 4,500. That's for the cum delta. And then you have alerts. Here's the thing about alerts. Notice how that pops up and you see all these wave files, right? A lot of times Claude will say, hey, I can only put the paste let you copy and paste. And here is the selection of WAV files that I'm going to let you do. I said, no, Claude, no. I want to see it. I said, I want to see a drop down into my directory of my WAV files, and I want to select my WAV files on my own. And notice I have alerts almost for everything. Also, your rearm mode. I literally had to, it only gave me the option to rearm in a certain amount of seconds, whatever amount of seconds that you set. I said, nah, make it the next bar. And he put the next bar up there. And I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to tell him, nah, make it rearm until the next signal, because your alerts will keep going off until it rearms itself. So make a note of that. We're going to talk about it, not talk about, but put down on your notes the rearm. You can have them rearm to anything you want him to do. And I'm gonna keep hammering this home. Claude will do anything. I'm hyped. I really am hyped. I got the delta row, positive threshold, the delta row, negative threshold. These are all alerts right here. I can select any alert file I want. And the only alerts I have going off is, and I say, when you get an alert, I want to see an arrow on that bar. So I got the bullish confluence when the max delta is past a certain point and the min delta won't go beyond a certain point. That's my bullish confluence. Bearish confluence is when the min delta has gone beyond a certain point and the max delta has not. I've got Good Morning Vietnam for any of you guys who familiar with Robin Williams. I got Good Morning Vietnam. So that alert goes off every time that pops up, and I'll show it to you on the chart in a second. Then I can set alerts for cum delta, the volume, and I'm not finished with this indicator, because there's something about I want to do something in volume that I haven't seen before. I know the common stuff. Yeah, volume lightens up, blah, 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 blah. But we're dealing with AI now. AI can see shit that we cannot see. So if you got something in your mind, don't be afraid to enter. Say, hey, Claude, I'm noticing volume doing this and the cum doing this, or blah, blah doing this. It's unless sky is the limit with Claude. I'm going to keep hammering that home. And notice I also have arrows. I want to be able to control the size of the arrow and the ticks away from the bar, because if you can't control the size of the arrow, that arrow is going to come boom right up on the bar, or it might even be inside the bar. That's kind of frustrating. And then I say, hey, why don't I just tell them, I want to control the arrows. Boom, the size of the arrow and how far it is away from the bar. I control that. The layout is basically this right here. The rows, how big the rows are, how big the columns are. These are columns. These are rows going across, columns are up and down. So I wanted to control that. It said, hey, no problem. You can control that now. What else we got? Oh, font size inside the column. I can control that, the font size and the color size. This is the kind of stuff that you have to be very particular in asking him to program. And each time he kicks a file back, and I'll show you how that's going to work in a second. Each time he corrects it and kicks a file back, you have to load it up on your chart to see what it's not doing or what it's doing. Okay. Then I have the bull min delta row. I want to be able to control my threshold on that. On the bull min delta row, I don't want that. I don't want to see that min delta go. I want to see it trade between, my friend likes double digits, just anything below triple digits. So he says from minus 99 down to -1. I like minus 25. I want to, like he said, man, you're waiting for a unicorn to come out the woods. Yes, I am. That's exactly what I'm waiting for. So I lowered my number even more. I want to see the unicorn, right? The bear min delta, when it's in bearish mode, I want to see minus 300 or larger. On the negative side, trust me, I had a hard time explaining that to Claude. And let me see what Claude was on that. On the bearish side, I kept saying, no, man, do this, do this. And notice we're having a big conversation about the negative number of bearish confluence. Check that out, blah, 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 blah. And we kept going back and forth because I was confused. Yes, I want to see a bigger negative number, but I was wording it wrong. So watch your wordings. Okay. And then you go to the regular stuff. This is calculate on each tick and the visual and so forth like that. It even, and I'm gonna tell you something that you have to check. Where you got scale justification, the right side or the left side, you have to check everything out when you're trying to implement your own indicator, because sometimes you might not be, when I first loaded this up, I couldn't switch this platform right here to the right side, even though I don't look at it on the right side. I like looking at it on the left side, but some people might like looking at it on the right side instead of the left side. So I said, let me see if I can switch that scale justification up. And when I switched it, it didn't work. I typed right back into Claude, hey, fix this. This is not working. Ah, you're right. Blah, 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 blah. Download this program, delete the other one. That's what he tells you. Basically, download this, delete the other. So let's go on the chart for a second, just so I can show you the meat and potatoes of what this program does. When everything is hitting bearish, the delta is minus 300 or more. The min delta is minus 300 or more. And the max delta is, and I think I got the number. I forgot what I got the max delta set at, but it's in double digits also. But I think I got it set at, let's look and see what the max delta set at on the bearish formula. Minus 25. Bull min delta. No, that's the min delta. Bear min delta. Bull max delta. Oh, bear max delta 99. I got 99. So I want to see 99 or lower. And I think I'm going to lower that number. And I usually control that just by typing in, I don't want to see it above this on the bear side. Or I don't want to see it below this on the min side. You understand what I'm saying? So I set my own thresholds on that. That way I can look here and it'll pop an arrow and I can get in a quick scalp. And this is a moving average. I don't know if I'm going to use the moving average yet, because I think I'm going to go off of the cum delta. And, what this cum delta is showing right now, we minus 11,000. Cum delta basically showing you who's in charge, the buyers or the sellers for the day. The delta is the buyers and the sellers for that bar, right? So, this is, it's popping arrows. And this was yesterday. I'm experiencing this yesterday. And it was giving some good trades on the long side. Here's a short trade. And, if you have a moving average and something that's interfering with something else you're looking at, you gotta, and what I'm trying to do is I'm gonna try to narrow this down. Do I really want to take when I see that flip, even though it's above the moving average, but this one crossed below the moving average? I could have got in there. Of course, hindsight is 2020. Haha. Anyway, you got below the moving average, across below the moving, and I'll look at this pattern in a minute. I'll go back, not in a minute, but I'll go back and I'll look at this pattern, and it's basically saying 70, 74, 81 and a quarter. And it made a low of 73 and a half. Well, guess what, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, that ain't no chump change. So it's just something, we build off of ideas of each other. And I know you guys have ideas that I might not see, and vice versa. So don't be afraid to share your ideas with other people, because they might say, hey, if you put this or put that with it, put this with it, you could do that. And You know, it is what it is. You know, put your egos aside because everybody's trying to make money, I think. Anyway, look at this long arrow right here. And I had a friend of mine that was just sitting here watching. We were sitting up here watching these arrows pop. And he said, man, I'm just sitting up there looking at those arrows. Bang, bang. And when I remember when one of these came out, I said, I think I'm gonna put it, uh maybe at a pivot or whatever's lowest, the pivot, or for this one, even find a guy in here and put a stop here, right? I took a little heat, not a little heat. That's a lot of fucking heat. And I don't like to take heat. Trust me, I do not like to take heat. But eventually, that trade went on up. Another chance to get in right here. Now, by the way, let me show you something. Bring out my pointer FX. This is called pointer fix again, by the way. Let's look at this for a second. Where this arrow pops up, my delta is above 300. It's at 356. My max delta is at 356. So it closed, the max delta closed on the high. The min delta was 0. And the cum, not paying attention to the cum, I'm sitting up here looking at the moving average. I'm still confused about how I'm going to handle that. Was 58.14. But the cum is coming down. And believe it or not, I actually thought of this yesterday. I said I'm going to put a graph, some type of graph of all of these in another sub panel and see, you're going to have everyone is going to have a color and it's going to be crossing and crossing back and forth, and I'm going to assign each one a color, right? Not the same color, a different color. So I'll know exactly what's going on. So if I want to see just two of these, the bull max delta and the bull min delta, which is the only two, because the bear, the numbers are the same. It's just that one is bigger than the other on the bull side and or smaller than the other on the bear side. So, I said I'm in my mind, and I haven't got it quite how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm thinking some type of subgraph to show the lines, just so I can below this whole thing right here, just so I can have a graph picture in my mind of how this looks on a line graph. But anyway, let's move on. Yeah, so I got an arrow right here that lines up with that. And of course, I got an alert going off saying, hey, this is what's going on, but I already know it's trending up. And I actually said yesterday morning, my bias is starting to change. And it was starting to change back here somewhere when it came across this line. And notice my bias was short here, but right around here it came across this line. And as it's going up, the cum delta is starting to head toward the positive or the 0, right? So we're going up. Each time you see an arrow, that's where my alert went off. Alert went off here. And you can ask Claude and say, hey, put this in sync with the moving average of my choosing. When you say the moving average of my choosing, he's going to create a moving average inside that indicator with an on and off switch. You have to tell him with an on and off switch, and you can choose a simple moving average, the EMA, the whole moving average, whatever moving average you decide you want to do. Okay? So, boom. There's an arrow there. There's an arrow there. And you still have to take all of this stuff in context, especially if you're trading with a moving average. And basically, I've come to the conclusion, and I tell my friend this all the time. I said, man, I just got to go in direction of the moving average, because the moving average, you know, it's and I use the EMA. Some of you might want to use the SMA. Like I said, some of you might want to use the SMA, whatever, but I use the EMA. And I'm usually looking at a 21 period. So a lot of times I just go take a trade in direction of the moving average. So we can see here, it's starting to give short signals here. And notice the cum delta is starting to go negative again. So here comes the scalping opportunities. Here's a scalp opportunity here. We're at minus 10,866. Bang. Of course, hindsight 2020. But we're 25 3/4. And I usually, when you hit the market order, when you hit a market order, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a nugget right here. If I hit the market order to go short at 25 3/4, a lot of times I get filled right around 25 1/4 or 25 even. I used to work at a trade desk. It's, that's just a cost of doing business, not unless you put in a limit order. And sometimes if you're a limit order player, and I see this a lot, real good friend of mine, he don't get in nothing but limit orders. He does not do market orders at all. Guess what? If you play limit orders, a lot of times you're not going to get filled, and that trade is going to get away from you. But that's a personal preference. That's a whole nother conversation. We got long trade here, which I wouldn't have took because I'd have looked down at the cum delta. Bang. Minus 10,646. We're in short mode only. Even though this is crossing back and forth between the moving average, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Claude create this as a strategy. You can have Claude create this as a strategy, or create your indicator as a strategy, and then you can optimize it under, you click on new, and then you go down to strategy analyzer, and boom, you can optimize your settings, which I did say I was going to do that in the next couple of days. I got a short trade here. Let's say you did get in. When I see a stem, if I do a market order, let's say we got in at 24 1/4. 24 1/4, this thing went all the way down to 18 3/4. That ain't no chump change, ladies and gentlemen. That's not no chump change. Here's another trade. Boom, short trade here. Get my measuring tool out now. You guys gonna make me get out my measuring tool. Let's say we got filled at 13, worst case scenario. We got 4 1/4 points there. That's $212. If you had the balls, which sometimes I don't, to write it down some more, that's 6 1/4 point before it starts to really do a pullback and retrace. But if you got your ATM strategy program right, and trust me, when I get up 10 ticks or more on the E-mini, that's a free trade for me. That's all I can tell you. I'm not giving shit back. I can't help it. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. So that's a trade right there. Boom. Let's say right here. You had most of win against you was $137. Right here, you got another $212. And when you're doing your research, try to look at how many bars it goes down before it pulls back. This is right here is one. I'm gonna show you guys something else, but I'm not gonna show you my formula on the next chart I'll show you. But you try to average how many bars it goes down if you're short, or it goes up before it does a pullback. That's how I'm looking for my average move. This right here, let's say, let me erase that. If I got a tight trailer on it and I'm already up $100, let's say $100 on the trade, I might lock in maybe 3 to 4 ticks. So I know commissions is paid for. And like I always tell my friend, I say, man, somebody's got to pay for lunch. So, that's me. That's something personal that I'm personally dealing with, because sometimes that's not a good idea. He gets on me about that all the time, but I can't give back that money. I can't give it back. It, maybe I need to go see a psychiatrist, but I can't give back that money. No, no, no. I'm not letting it go negative and you just go ahead and stop me out. I can't do it. But anyway, yeah, that's the case with this particular indicator right here. It was created in Claude. And let me show you another thing that I am working with right now. Let's load up a default. Now, I've always had problems with Rinkos. I never could, even though the charts look beautiful, I couldn't do it. So I finally found something that I'm working with Rinkos now. And I'm realizing now on these Rinkos, between each bar drop, we're gonna get back to Claude, but I'm showing you what I created with Claude, with certain, where's the measurement? With certain with just indicators that I made up in my head, or not made up, but I you can mix and match indicators if you want. If the MACD is doing this and the stochastics is doing this, give me an arrow and tell Claude to do it, and he'll do it. Hammering that home again. Between each Rinko or each drop is 6 ticks. So 3 points is 3 bars. And I notice every time this thing takes a trade, I would rather get stopped out and put a long-term target in, even if you get filled here. That's 8 bars. Of course, hindsight, and I loaded up my, I got this running in Bloodhound. I'll tell you something about Bloodhound in a second, but I got this running in Bloodhound because I want to see what the signals look like in Bloodhound. And something else I can tell you. A friend of mine developed his own indicator, and he has racing stripes. So yes, Claude will put racing stripes on your shit too. Trust me when I tell you, it does everything. Hammering that home again. So it will put racing stripes on your chart, but I said, okay, if I can see at least 6 ticks on every trade, look at this trade right here. Say you got in right here. Let's look at the measuring. Throw a measuring tape on here. Say you got in right here. That's 6 1/4 point. That's 6 1/4 point. And I just started running this yesterday. So, like I said, yesterday was a big day for me in testing a lot of this out. Of course, this is a long trade just based on the moving average, and this is Rinko just based on the moving average. Let's say you got in here, another $375 move. And if you want to deal with that pullback, you can, because if you deal with the pullback and ride it as far as you can, that's 12 1/4 point right there. Of course, you're not going to get 12 3/4 point actually. You're not going to get 12 3/4 point, but on a 12 3/4 point move, I got 8 points out of that. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All depends on how your ATM is set up. Bang, bang. These are reentries, and if you're familiar with Bloodhound, I'm going to filter some of these out. Once I get a signal, I don't want to see the rest of these. It's not going to give a signal. I got some fine tuning to do on this stuff. I even have a timer on the signal, so before 8:30 it doesn't give a signal. So let's go back some more. See this, and this is, I'm like, wow, this is because Renko, what Renko does is it definitely gives you an idea of the trend. This is evening time. No trades will be pulled after, and I have my cutoff time at 2 o'clock Central. This is a short trade right here. I'm assuming got stopped out. Maybe, because the stop usually goes above the high, that high right there, one tick above that high. So that's actually a short trade that you would have caught. You would have made some money. You'd have took a little heat, and my stop is usually the highest high in the last 2 or 3 bars. I forgot how I got it set on Blackbird, but the highest high or the lowest low in the last 2 or 3 bars. That's the highest high after taking a trade. You'd have taken some heat. And let's say you'd have got in at the bottom of this worst case scenario. That's too much heat for me. That's a lot of heat. But I look at you, when your profits start to run, that's a 10-point run. So I actually have my Blackbird set up to whatever my stop is, I want 2.5 times reward or 3 times reward. And then, but sometimes it might not hit that reward target. So when it gets up a certain amount of points, it starts to tighten up. I mean, come on, guys, you gotta come to your senses at some point. Okay. So this is one of the things I created with the Renko. And losing trades, I like to see losing trades. You know why? Because that's real. That lets you know there is no holy grail to this. There's no such thing as a holy grail. But the runs are way bigger or way longer than the short. A long run here. You got a long run here. You got a long run here. Stop out. Long run. And that might have not even got stopped out with the stop being there. That's if you miss this entry, you got another entry here. Boom. So if you miss this entry, you got another entry here because this never got stopped out. That just took quite a bit of heat. Then it turned around because this, like I said, I have my stop set the highest high or the lowest low in the past 2 or 3 bars. Yes, Blackbird can do that. Blackbird can do that. I even have a chop where it pulls. If it starts to chop, and I haven't programmed it yet, when it chops like this, no trade. No trade. Chop like that, no trade. And you can actually tell Claude what is the best thing for a chop. And it's going to say, here's what I recommend to use for a chop market. This is what you call right here. This is what you call a chop market. I like drawing on this screen. That's what you call a chop market. So that's something else you put on your 3x5 card. You look at the time frame you're using. You draw a circle around your chop, and you know what you do? You snapshot the screen and upload it to Claude and say, Claude, this is a chop market. I don't want no trades being pulled off in this chop market. Give me an on and off switch based on this chop market right here. Okay. Now let's get back to Claude. I diversed there for a minute because I just want to. I haven't gone through these charts yet. It's Saturday morning. I said I'll wake up Saturday morning or Saturday evening now and go through my charts and see what kind of signals or what kind of fine tunement I can make. Now, one thing you don't want to do, and there's a term in trading called you don't want to over optimize or curve fit. The term is curve fit. Because if you start curve fitting, changing rules as you go along, you won't know if walking forward, you won't know what the system or indicator has a potential of doing. So there's no curve fitting with this. I program the patterns that I want to see, and this is what it kicked out. And I like to look at it in Bloodhound. You get to see the red stripes, the red racing stripes, and the green racing stripes, and then I get a good idea of okay, this is going to work. This has potential of working, but I got to place a stop here. And if I take heat, I take heat, but I won't know if I'm taking heat because when I put on a trade, I usually get up and go to the bathroom or fix a cup of coffee or something, so I don't have to look at the screen. Anyway, that's that. Let's go back to Claude. Long video, guys. Long video, I know, but it's a necessity. It's a necessity. It is a necessity. Let's go back to Claude. So, matter of fact, let's go back to this morning. Claude just kicked out when I was asking him about Street Smart, and I'm going to debate this right here because I'm not opening my Excel to import anything. He's not seeing. Here's what brought up that conversation with Excel. And I think we talked about this earlier because now I'm getting ready to show you exactly what happens when you download into your Ninjatrader indicators directory because I know I'm going to get an error. Where's my pointer fix? I want to draw on the screen. Here it is. Here's what Claude exactly said. Basically, he said, NinjaTrader doesn't have a built-in calendar. And then I said, you're wrong. NinjaTrader does have a live news feed now. And here's the live news feed. For you guys who don't use the news feed, it's beautiful. NinjaTrader has took it up another level now. They still do some dumb stuff, but they kind of impressed me with this latest upgrade. What they need to do now is if your internet goes down, which my internet went down Friday night or Thursday night. I think it was Thursday. Yeah, my internet went down Thursday night for some unknown strange reason. And if you're not in NinjaTrader, your NinjaTrader will not work. That's a flaw because if I bought this program, it should come on anytime, whether I'm connected to the internet or not. And they need to correct that. Okay. With that being said, I haven't downloaded this program yet, but I'm going to do it now just so we can see exactly how this works. So, by the way, there's another program you need to download called Notepad. I call it, it's not the regular Notepad, it's called Notepad Plus Plus. And when I click on Notepad Plus Plus, allow Claude to open this file. When I click on Notepad Plus Plus, I don't know why it's doing that. This has never popped up before. Notepad Plus Plus opens up the file that you've told it to program in Notepad Plus Plus. Let's get this stuff out the way. I'm even doing something with the hoagie. Remind myself to show you guys the hoagie in a minute. The hoagie pattern that one of those quant traders always looks at on higher time frames. Notepad Plus Plus, he downloads it on the Notepad Plus Plus, or it opens up in the Notepad Plus Plus. Let me show you guys something. Once it opens up, and I have multiple screens, but you guys can only see one screen. So once it opens up in Notepad Plus Plus, why didn't Street Smarts open up in, let me see something for a second. Because it should have went to the download folder also. Now, here's one of the flaws when you start a new conversation. It usually goes to my download folder also, but for some reason, it's not going to my download folder on this particular file. So what you do when you go to Notepad++, click on File, click on Save As, and pick a folder for it to save or download or to go in. I usually save it to my download folder, right? It usually goes straight to my download folder. I don't know why it's not doing that with this particular CS file. I click on save, right? So now, all right, guys, take notes. You got your Notepad+ up. The file is open in your Notepad++, and also it's in the download folder. Okay. Street Smart Suite. That's what it's called. Street Smart Suite. Because I was looking at the book called Street Smarts with Linda Raschke. Okay. So I told it to create one big indicator with all of its strategies in there as indicators, not as systems, as indicators. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw each indicator on a chart and see how those particular strategies work on each chart. And I said, put arrows with them, put alerts with them, the works. Okay. So now that I have Street Smarts in here, I open up another file explorer. Okay. On that file explorer, and you know, if you need to watch this more than once, watch it more than once. I even had people come online and say, you're moving too slow. And then get off. This is then obviously if I'm moving too slow, this is not for you. Another conversation. But anyway, after you put it in downloads, open up another file explorer and go into Ninjatrader 8 indicators. This is the indicators folder. I even did Trader Vic 2B. I did so much stuff, guys. It's ridiculous. But you go into the indicator folder, right? And I noticed there was a guy who talked about this online. I forgot where I got it online. That when I open up the Ninja script editor and it's blank, and I got this trick from somebody else, and when you copy, I don't know if I got it from Mike Valtos or whatever, you copy that file and you just do a copy because you're going to do several, downloads until you get it, until Claude gets it right. And you copy this file into, cut up the volume, the indicator folder, it should compile. And if you don't hear that doo-doo, then you have errors. Let's see what's happening here. Okay. I did not get a doo-doo. Sounds like when you hit your car alarm, doo-doo, doo-doo, or whatever, So when I drop that file into the indicator, if you don't immediately within a few 10, 15 seconds get a compile or compile sound, that means there are errors in that file. So here's what I do. I go to Ninja Script. Let's open up Ninja Script. Now I open up Ninja Script. And there's the error. But just to make sure, I go down to the S's, and this is Street Smart, if I'm not mistaken. There it is, Street Smart Suite. I double click that, it opens up. And just to make sure this error goes with this file, I'll compile it again. and boom, that error kicks up. Now you take green shot. So now I'm going to take a shot of this, take a picture of this error, and we're going to go back to Claude. And here's what I'm going to do with Claude. I'm going to click on the plus. I'm going to add a photo. And there's a picture of don't worry about you, Claude can read it. the font looks like it's damn near invisible, but Claude can read it. And I screenshot this up to Claude and I say, correct, correct errors. That's all I say is correct errors. But I don't know what changes I'm going to make. Let's just start having it. Let's see it first. So then when I say correct errors, it's looking at that error and it's going to try to correct it, or it will correct it. And it's working. It's working. It finds it references what's going on. Now it's referencing the error. It's going to find the error and hopefully it's going to correct it. And every once in a while, this thing corrects the error, but it doesn't kick out the file. I say, okay, it says correct the error. Okay. And let me tell you something else. If it tells you to copy and paste into a file, say no, you do that. That's what I'm paying you for. Correct it and drop the file. So it's finding the errors, it's correcting now. And notice it said, that was my mistake. Takes 3 arguments, blah, blah, blah. Fix, edit proper, compile again if another. And look, it didn't drop the file. And then I'll go, where's the file? And there's the file. There's the file again. Before I download that file, let me show you guys what I do here. I minimize that. I close this tab, the old file, and I highlight this one. Guys, take notes. Rewind this as much as you want. I click remove file because we already know this particular one kicks out errors. It says, are you sure you wish to remove indicator? Yes. It removes the file. And notice it's no longer on the list. And it's usually anything that's customized, it's usually right below the other indicators. So you can see all of these are customized indicators. Street Smart Suite is nowhere on the list. But if you do see it, delete it. But once you hit remove, it takes it out of the Ninjatrader indicators folder. Once you take it out of the Ninjatrader indicators folder, okay, we're going to minimize that. I delete it out of my download folder. And trust me, you're going to do this so many times, it's going to be like second nature because this is what it takes. After you delete it out of your folder, and I try to close it in notepads, it says the file doesn't exist anymore. Keep the file in the editor. I go no, because you don't want no parts of that file that's error. And now you go back to Claude and you click on that and you open it. Okay. I don't know why it's not going to my my download folder. So now you go back to your download folder and your indicator folder. Okay. And for some reason, and you guys might not see this, but when I go back to my download folder, that particular file is no longer in my download folder. I just click on file, and some of you guys might not have to do this. It might automatically go to your download folder. In this particular chat, it's not going to my download folder. You click on save as, and then Street Smart folders a thing is going to pop up where you want to save it at. I save it in my download folder, leave the name as is. Do not change the name, because there's something in the indicator that tells you guys, or it tells the indicator what the name of the indicator. Do not change the name. If you want to change the name of an indicator, you tell Claude and let Claude do for you, because it has to go through the indicator and make some changes inside the indicator also. That's a note for you guys to remember. So then I go save, and now it's in there, right? So now I hit copy, because now we have to compile it again. I go to the indicator folder and I hit paste. I paste it in the indicator folder. Now it's in the indicator folder. Supposedly, did you hear that? It said doo-doo. So now this indicator has been compiled. You will hear that sound if you guys didn't hear, because I got here headphones on. But you will hear a doo-doo sound if it's a compile. If it compiled and supposedly everything looks okay, you do not have to go into editor and open it up and hit compile again, right? So now I go to a chart. Now I bring up a chart. Let me see if I got any charts open. Editor. No, I do not have any charts open. So now I go to a chart. I open up a chart. Let's look at the E-mini. Let's look at a, you know what? Let's just do something real simple. Let's look at a 3-minute chart here. Load up 7 days. Set the time. Index futures. Extended trading hours. Hit OK. We got a 3-minute chart. And now I go look for Street Smart Suite. It should be on the list. Street Smart Suite. There it is. Street Smart Suites. You double click it. And now it's time. Now you can see all of the stuff it added. When I told it to add all of those strategies in the book, it added with on and off switches. I can cut this stuff on and off at any time. So let's look at one arbitrarily. Let's look at the enable 80s 20. Let's look at just that one. Now, you know what? I'm gonna look at the momentum. I'm a momentum guy. Let's look at the momentum. Cut the rest of them off. But at some point, you're going to have to cut all of them on anyway. You know why? Because you're going to have to make sure they work. This is where the research starts to come in. Okay. And then you have parameters. And I got momentum, pinball, set at 60. I'm going to leave it set at 60 to default. And these are all the parameters. And I would have to literally go back through, and now I can go back through the book and see what momentum is doing and what she's looking for when she's trading momentum. And I just did this just for the heck of it, just to see if it'll program Street Smarts. I don't use anything from Street Smarts, but don't think I won't. If it looks good on a chart, then I'll start to fine tune it, right? And I like to take the label off. I think I'm gonna start telling Claude to not put the label in there. And I'm gonna also tell him to, he already has it in the description, Street Smarts, Ransky Connors, multi-setup indicator or multi-setup detector, right? Signal only, no order execution. Notice Claude did put that in there. So when I go okay, Let's see if anything pops up with this particular, and nothing pops up. Oh, we do have one. So it is working. It's just not as common. And that's something else you have to pay attention to. And I'm gonna cut all of them on right now just to see which ones are more common than the other one. And notice it put an arrow down to go short. That's not a bad trade, but that's fucking 6 o'clock in the evening. Let's see if there's any trades during the daytime. Nope, all of these are coming in the evening time. Okay, so I know now. I know momentum is more of an evening thing. Okay, doesn't give too many trades. So now it's time to get to the meat and potatoes. I'm gonna go in indicators, and I'm gonna cut all of them on, and I'm gonna see which one is giving the most signals. Boom. Okay. So I can see which one is giving the most signals, 2-period ROC, and then I can start filtering them out. This is where the work comes in. 2-period, I'm noticing a lot of 2-period ROCs. You got the 80-20, and this is during the morning time. So let's narrow it down, because you're not going to run all of these signals anyway. You're going to select which one you want to put on whatever chart. And this is a 3-minute chart. So 2-period ROC. Let's uncheck everything except the 2-period ROC. ROC stands for rate of change. Now, 2-period ROC. Now, you got turtle soup here. 2-period ROC. 2-period. And it looks like it's giving a signal. And you know what? Let's change this to a this is doing a lot of trade. Let's go to a daily and see what it looks like on a daily. Wow, still a lot of signals. But you guys get the idea, because I would literally have to filter some of these trades out. And you can do that. You can basically do that with Bloodhound, or you can do it with Claude if you tell it to. And this is on the daily. But the purpose of this exercise is you want to know if it's giving signals. Not if it's a right or wrong, but if it's giving signals. And then you go back and you check, is this a signal I want? Is it doing exactly what I want it to do? And it is giving signals. Let's go back and try to, let's take 2-period ROC off and just put on turtle soup. Turtle soup, going long. And a lot of times you squeeze that chart together and you'll see the signals. Boom, 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 boom. You see the signals. And all this is on daily. This is a daily chart. Long signal, short signal. And another thing I do, I always run a EMA. So just to get an idea if the EMA would do any good on this particular signal, I throw an EMA on the chart. That's a good trade. That's a no trade. That's a no trade. No trade, no trade, no trade, no trade. Long trade right there. And we are looking at daily bars here. So those bars that you think that's little, those are big moves. That's a 45-point move right there. 45-point move, and that's on a daily. So let's do this just for namesake. And I'm just showing y'all how I do my research, or how I start off with my research. These are half-hour bars right here. These are 30-minute bars right here. And make sure you got enough data loaded up. No trade, because these are under the EMA. No trade, possible trade, no trade, only because it's above the EMA, but you guys get the idea. Uh Stop out. That's a short trade, long trade, no trade. But you guys get the idea of what you're looking for once you load up uh an indicator that you created through Claude. We went through the exercise. Anything else I said I was going to get you guys through? Let me see what else here did I created that you guys can possibly look at. But yeah, it's the hard part is, or not the hard part, but you find yourself being, moving average pullback. I think I created moving average pullback continuation. I'm working on that. Just clarifying the errors, and I'm gonna hammer it home again. Oh, one thing I did here are some. This was in a book called Trade Chart Patterns Like the Pros by Suri Dudella, and Suri Dudella came up with the 2B. Matter of fact, let me load the 2B on there. I think I said I was going to show you guys Trader Vic's 2B. Trader Vic 2B. This is on the 30-minute. Everything is default. I said, create the 2B, Trader Vic 2B. And I want alerts. I want to be able to control the arrows and blah, 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 blah. Take the label off. And it's giving me signals on the 2B. What you see down at the bottom was the min-max, was the earlier version of the min-max. Haha, there you go. And I also told it to, now notice this. Pay very good attention to this. I also told, let's see if we can come up to see if we got anything that happened yesterday. Yes. We did get some action yesterday. That was around early in the morning, but nonetheless, it's a 2B signal. I told it to, on the 2B, put the stop and put the breakout or put the price of the entry. And see how long those lines are? It said I can do that. I will also let you control the length. It said I will also let you control the length of those lines. So in 2B, I can go in 2B and you can see line length bars. Okay? And that's 20 bars. I don't want it that long. Give me about 3 bars. That's it. Show bullish signals, show bearish signals, draw a point, one line, and you can also control the font. I usually like looking at about 13 or 14 on the font when I'm looking at the chart. Remind me, guys, this is a long video, but it's a learning session, guys. So if it's too long for you, I'm sorry. If it's just right for you, enjoy. So now it's going to shorten up the lines. And notice now it has shortened up the lines, tell you where the stop is, tell you what the entry is. That was a good signal, by the way. That was a damn good signal. That's a 2B Trader Vic. And any indicator, and here's an error. I remember why I stopped looking at it. I said I needed to correct this. Notice it put a stop and an entry point. Instead of the entry point down here at the bottom, it put it at the top at the open. So, you're going to run into errors where that is a problem, and just go ahead and correct it. And I'll tell him, and what I'll do is I'll screenshot this when I get back to this indicator and tell him to correct it. Entry, stop, never closed above, so it never entered. And that's the 2B, working on 2B. There's one other indicator that I had it to develop. that I see on the internet a lot. Guy talks about the hoagie pattern, right? Here it is. Here's the hoagie pattern. Here is the hoagie pattern. Let's make sure I got everything correct. Let me take the 2B off, by the way. When it creates a hoagie, we already know it's a double inside bar. If it closes above it, and let's bring that data. This is a 30-minute. Let's look at it on a 1-minute chart. Here it is on a 1-minute chart. That's after the close. Let's see if we can find a good one. Here's one right around 2:30 Central Time, half hour before the close. Breakout to the upside. It got stopped out. Then it went ahead. But with the what I did told with the hoagie is, we got a double inside bar, the mother bar, upper line, lower line, and I told it to create an alert when it closes, not breaks, but when it closes above or below that particular line. That's one signal right there, and you'll see the hoagie comes quite often. Now, what I did say I was going to do on the hoagie, I'm going to tell it to do multi-time frame. And when you create an indicator with multi-time frame, you say, hey, Claude, I want to see this on a multi-time frame of my choosing. You have to watch the words that you use. Say multi-time frame of my choosing, and then that way when you go in, you can select, and you have to check that upper time frame on a separate chart just to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. Notice this is a winning trade right here. That's not a bad run, really. You know, you're risking 4.25 points, and it made 15 points. Of course, you won't make 15 points. You probably get about, even if you get, my philosophy is if something runs a big, if you see a big run like this, 15, 20 points, I know I got half. If you're catching half, you're on the right path. You're on the right path. Here's another hoagie trade to the downside. Oh, this did not have a bad day, actually. Even you got in here on the close, you took some heat, almost 3 points, $137. That's an 8-point run. 8-point run right there. And actually, that stop, because you're supposed to put it on the other side of the hoagie, is a monster. Ooh, 12 points. I can't take that kind of heat. I probably would have put it right here on one of these moving averages. Okay. So that's all for today. You guys take it easy. I got homework to do. Now you guys got homework to do. Create some indicators. Let me know what you think. Be honest. I can take criticism. This was a long video, but it's a learning session. This was a long video, but it's a learning session. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out.